Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. Today we're going to be looking at the HW95, how to take it apart and how to put it back together. This guide also covers the HW98 and the HW85, the modern HW85 with the bayonet fitting at the rear, not the original Mark 1 HW85 with the raised scope rail and the screw off back block. That is more similar to the 80. If you have a Mark 185, watch the HW80 video, that will be much closer. Now, before we get started, I would like to point out, you will see I've got a big roll of tissue paper here. That is more because I am still suffering with this man flu than anything else, so please excuse me if I sneeze, cough or start dripping midway through. But let's get on and take this gun apart. Now, the first thing we need to do is remove the trigger cassette from the rear of the gun, for which we will need a punch and a hammer. Top tip, do this so the safety catch is pointing upwards, then when the trigger comes out it won't drop on the floor and lose the small screw. Now, that's my favourite screwdriver. Let's just use him to tap those all the way through. There we go, that one, and then that one. Put the the pins safely to one side. Then we remove the safety catch and its small spring. Now, as per usual, watch out for this little spring. It likes to hide. If it doesn't come out with the safety catch, it's hiding somewhere inside of there. Find it. If you do lose it, you can buy a replacement, or you can use a cut down spring out of a Bic or a push top biro. The small springs in those can be useful. Now, the trigger, watch the trigger adjustment video that we've got, and I would like to say, see this small screw in the back of here? Once you've taken the trigger guard off of the gun, I mentioned about being careful not to lose that little nut inside of the trigger housing. I'd like to say thank you to Alan Tippett, who made a comment saying, I don't know why I didn't think of this, get your little screw out of the back of the trigger guard and just pop it back through there. It just holds the nut in place until you're ready so you don't lose it. Brilliant idea, so simple. And also to Mr. Yippage, on a very similar vein, when you're setting your trigger, he mentioned about putting a pin through this small hole at the top here to stop the sear from going all the way up. That can save it from potential damage. So that's two top tips I've learned from my viewers. Thank you very much, Mr. Yippage and Alan Tippett. Right, put that to one side, watch the trigger video. Now, if you saw the HW99 video, strip down video, you'll see that I lost my finagling tool. Rejoice, for I have found it. It was lurking. It was in a toolbox, but it was near the bottom. And I just you know when you're looking for something and you just don't see it, you look at it 5 times and you don't see it's there. So what we're going to do is these small blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4 small blocks there, they need to be pushed from the outside, from the inside towards the outside, with something like this cut down Allen key. Now they're quite tight, quite tricky usually. You need to find which side's going to be best. So you put your Allen key in the back there, get a screwdriver or something to give leverage at the back. Oops. Maybe that one isn't going to be the easiest one, maybe it's the other way. There goes one. Now do be careful because they do ping out like that. So there's one on that side and one on this side. Once you've got out one side, all you need to do is pass your Allen key through the hole of that one into the next one, and you can just give it a little tap and that one comes out and that one comes out. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Now we need to release the spring tension from inside of the gun. To do that, we need to, this is a bayonet fitting. The end cap that holds the spring is a bayonet fitting, so we need to put pressure to counter the spring there, and then turn this. You'll see a small favourite screwdriver, small notch there. We need to get that little lug out of that little slot and then it'll come out similar to a bayonet light bulb. So I've got a plastic washer there, so we don't mar it, just to take the spring tension, and then a screwdriver in there. Now, I'd like to say thank you for Craig Petty, who suggested an idea for making a tool for this. I am looking into it. I am, because it would be a very useful thing to have. There we go. Spring tension is up. Bayonet comes out the back. One thing to watch out for on these, and I forgot to mention it on the HW99 one, that's actually a loose nut there. That can drop out if you're not careful. So watch out for that. Put that to one side. Now that we've got the spring tension done, we can remove the spring, and in this case the guides are there attached with the top hat, because I've got a TBT kit in mind, believe it or not. So we'll put that again to one side, and all we have to do is take off the barrel and release the piston. So we've got a barrel access bolt here. That's a nut and bolt. One of those, they both look like screws. One of them's a bolt, one of them's the nut. You need to decide, or not decide, you need to see which one of them's the nut with the hole in the centre, and remove that first. So unscrew him. There is a small locking washer inside of there. It looks like he doesn't particularly want to come out at the moment. Come on. It's important that you take the washers out as you go, because if you don't, you may lose them. There's the little locking washer there. Put that with the nut. And then on the other side, this is the bolt. So what we do now is break the action like that, because then you can undo that bolt without having to fight the tension of that little chisel detent there. So break the barrel, then undo that bolt. And he comes out of there, and his locking washer is up against the shoulder of the bolt there. Now we need to take the barrel away from the jaws, looking out for these little thin shims. They're easily damaged and easily lost. So make sure you put those to one side, and then the barrel with the cocking arm comes away, and also the cocking shoe. Now this is, I believe it is the same cocking shoe as in the modern HW80. It's a cast piece that runs on the inside of the chassis, or the slots run on the chassis of the gun there, rather than directly onto the face of the piston. Put him to one side, and then remove the piston. And that is it. Our gun is completely apart. Watch the next video for what to do while you're in here, how to degrease it, how to re-lube it, how to short stroke it if you want to short stroke it, or fit a TBT kit if you want to fit a TBT kit. But now we're going to skip straight on to actually rebuilding the rifle. So you watch this part to here, do your trigger adjustment video, watch the degreasing, re-lubing, fitting a kit video, and then come back to here and we're putting the gun back together. So what we do first is the piston back inside of here. Now we do want to have removed the burrs from inside of these holes, so that when the piston goes in, the seal doesn't get damaged by any sharp edges. If you find the seal is snagging on the way through, you can use a small screwdriver just to push the lip of the seal down to get it past any restrictions without damaging that. So we put our piston in first. Then we need the cocking shoe in there. Which goes, just so you can see the orientation, with the smaller part, the smaller pointy bit towards the rear of the gun. The pointy bit is a technical term. The cocking arm goes into there. You place it into that slot and just let it come down gently. If you have to put any pressure to get it in there, you've got the wrong angle take it out and try again, because it's possible to snap the tip off of that cocking arm. And now we need to get the barrel back on, and these little shims here, very fragile, easy to damage. So what we do is we put that there and we get our ballpoint pen, or ballpoint Bic pen. We take the lid off, throw the pen away. What we're after is actually the lid. This is a fantastic tool for anybody with an HW break barrel rifle. Use this pointy bit here to push the shim into place, and then you use the rounded end there to poke it in the hole and centralize it. And it is that simple, and it doesn't damage it, and it saves you having to replace it. It's brilliant. Next, we get our axis bolt. We pass that through there, and then we do the same on the other side. The other thing we need to do before we put the spring in there is tension your barrel. Okay, your brake barrel, it's moving. We want to get that at the right tension so that it isn't sloppy, there's no movement, but also that it's not creating excessive friction. So we tighten down this side. This is the bolt. Tighten down this side until that's a little bit too much there. Just slacken him off ever so slightly. Right, see, that's falling there, that's just flopping around there. What we're after is just enough tension, a little more. Oh, there, it can just, oh, a fraction more than that. It can just about hold its own weight at any point in its travel. Okay, so it's moving freely, but when you let go, it stays where it is. That's why you have to do that while you haven't got the spring in the gun, so you want to get that tension correct. Once you've got that tension correct, you can go ahead and get your locking nut, sorry, yeah, your locking washer, and then your axis nut on the other side. Then you can do this side up, because it isn't going to tension it, because that's just locking onto the bolt. Next, we need to put the spring into there, and then we put the bayonet fitting back onto the gun, and then it is refitting the trigger unit. And a couple of tricks for refitting the trigger unit. First of all, cock it, because then you're not fighting the spring on the top sear there. Put him into place. Get your safety catch with the little spring. Pop him into place. Get into place without losing the spring. Favourite screwdriver. There we are, that's him there. Drop the trigger into place, and what we want to do is fit the front pin first, which is the longer of the pins. So sight through the hole. That one's set it off. That'd be the cold making me fuzzy. Front pin in first, and then we're going to line up while keeping some pressure on the safety catch. You'll line up the rear one, the shorter pin goes into the rear, and that means your safety catch is in the correct place, and then you pull the trigger and the gun's ready to cock. That is it. It is that simple. It's a nice, simple gun to strip down and rebuild. It's a pleasure to work on, and you can get a large improvement in its performance simply by taking it apart, cleaning it, and putting it back together with the proper lubrication. Please watch, as I say, the trigger video. That will have a very, very large impact on your group sizes. Also watch degreasing, relubing, and fitting a kit video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We have lots of new videos being made at the moment. even with this cold. I will see you all again next time. Thank you and goodbye.